fear through Killarney. Now I'm back to hitching with the wind. But if Mickey Flynn should ever find me, I'll throw me caution all behind me and square off on that son of a bitch again. He cracked open a river too, he beat me Sunday through and through, danced a jig over my unconscious frame. I won me healthy sheriff fights, well lucky soul still have me life since Mickey Flynn beat me dumb and lame.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Disciples of Ed here on the Always Next Year podcast. I'm your host, Rob. Tonight, I am joined by Shane. How's it going, Shane?
Going pretty well. Nice win tonight. Awkward win, weird win, but nice win.
Yeah, really strange. 5 goals on 15 shots, and it seemed like every single one of them went off the skate or the leg or whatever it is of a Columbus player. In fact, there's one player, Pete, I think it was. I don't know the guy's first name. 2 goals that deflected off of him, and then the Couturier breakaway goal where the breakout pass from Drew went between the guy's legs. So rough night for him. Great night for the Flyers. Carter Hart, 28 stops and 29 shots. A big win as they gain some separation between themselves and Columbus and have the chance to pad that even more on Thursday night in the second half of the back-to-back.
Yeah, these are the games that, obviously the games that you have to win right now, given where each of these teams are in the standings. But these are notoriously the games that, Philadelphia teams in general do not take advantage of. You know, the games where you can kind of distance yourself by more than that single win. And this game, it almost counts as 2. These are the games that we almost never win. And so for them to come out and to take advantage of some fortunate bounces, some sloppy play, it was really good to see, and it just kind of goes to just kind of the entire feel of this hockey team this year.
Yeah, there's that saying, you create your own breaks, and the Flyers, they played well enough this season, and they I feel like they had a game like this that was kind of due to them, more or less, where they just, they don't play great hockey, only 15 shots on goal, getting doubled up in the shot total, but they come away with what looks like a relatively dominant 5-1 win. As he said, just the bounces all going their way tonight. I feel like not their cleanest game, but something that, given the way that they've played this year, they kind of had it coming for them.
To be fair, we've kind of had this type of a thing coming for years. I mean, how it seems, and I know it's not actually this way. It just feels that way when you're indebted into this city. It feels like Philadelphia sports in general, but in particular, the Flyers are always the victim of bad luck. It seems as though if it were not for bad luck, that there would be no luck at all in this organization. And tonight was one of those weird nights that it felt like, I was listening to the game and everyone else was watching it. But you could even tell from broadcasting voice. It was just one of those strange nights that don't really make sense in Philadelphia.
Yeah, it certainly was. It was a weird game to watch. I missed the first period, actually. I was out but working the camera for a local high school basketball game. Fortunately, it was a game that went quickly. I was able to get home in time to catch the final 2 periods. And yeah, it was a weird-looking hockey game. If you thought it sounded weird over the radio, it definitely was as weird as you think it was. So, but yeah, a big win for the Flyers. They improved to 25-4 at the Wells Fargo Center. Only 3 teams in the NHL, Boston, Pittsburgh, and Tampa, have better records and more wins on home ice this season. So that brings up another thing that I quickly want to touch on. The Flyers, don't look now, but they're only 6 points back of the Capitals for that second seed, which will mean home ice in the first round of the NHL playoffs. How do you think the Flyers have a realistic chance of actually catching the Capitals, or even maybe it's the Penguins, and jumping into that 2 seed in the Metropolitan?
What do we have? 26 games left?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, a lot would have to go right. I know 6 points doesn't seem like a lot, and 7 points that separates us from Pittsburgh doesn't seem like a lot.
Yeah, 22 games. 22 games is what
22 games.
Left.
Yeah. So it would be highly unlikely, when I don't foresee it. But look, stranger things have happened. If the team can kind of fix its road woes, and again, I can't tell you how much of a difference it would make to continue to win the hockey games that you need to win just to create separation from the bottom of the playoff pack right now. Like, to ride that kind of a confidence. And if you're doing that, it means you're winning games on the road, which is another type of confidence that they need. If they can somehow snag a home iced series, I feel pretty good regardless of who the opponent is. So it's going to be interesting to see how far this team can go. But this is a fun hockey team for the first time in years.
Yeah, it feels really good to say that. Like, they had some playoff seasons under Dave Haxtell. They weren't very good. They kind of just snuck in the last couple of games of the season. But this is the first time since, I'd say, 2012 that they've actually been fun to watch. In 2012, I think, was the last time that they surpassed 100 points in the season, and also the last time that they won a playoff series. That was one of the most fun teams to watch, even though they didn't make it out of the second round. But yeah, I actually look forward to watching Philadelphia Flyers hockey on a nightly basis, or on, should I say, a game basis. They don't play every night. It's been a while since last time I've been able to say that.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I enjoy the process as much as anyone in this city with all of our sports teams. But I'll admit, when Flyers hockey is bad, it's hard. Like, there's a different level of passion that's attached to hockey and fans of this sport and fans of this organization and the history of this organization. Like watching the 76ers go through their process of losing and trying to, I mean, theirs was purposeful, was a legitimate process. That was fun. There was something romantic about what they were able to do out there. The Flyers were, like, as you mentioned just a moment ago, were just stuck in mediocrity. It was just to sit there and year after year after year have to make ourselves excited for a 6th, 7th, or 8th seed just to get knocked out in the first round. It was just that perpetual, you're never getting any better, you're never getting any worse. You're just watching a semi-competitive regular season hockey team, and then a not so competitive, one and done in the postseason type of a team. And it wasn't working. And that to me was painful. Watching a team in the NBA, as the Sixers did win, 9 games that one year. Like, I did not give a shit about that. That was one of the most fun seasons I've ever watched, because it was done with purpose and we understood the direction. For years, the Flyers did not have a direction. Now with Alain Vigneault, even with Chuck Fletcher to an extent, and this interesting mix of vets and acquired veterans like a Niskanen, and then the emerging youth. It's a fun team again. This is a direction I believe in.
Yeah, and I think that's reflecting in the attendance. We actually talked about this earlier in the season. A lot of people weren't quite buying in to the Flyers at that point. Attendance was down. They had some games where they were in the 17,000 range, which is kind of unprecedented for the Flyers because they're typically selling out or near a sellout at the Wells Fargo Center. But over the last, I'd say 15 or so home games, they've been averaging over 19,000 a game. And I haven't seen yet what the attendance was tonight, but it looked like it was a pretty decent crowd on TV. So I think that a lot of Flyers fans are kind of sharing the same mindset that we are, that this is, for the first time in a long time, a fun team to watch again. And you know what is going to be really interesting coming up 6 days from today? The trade deadline.
Yes, sir.
And I have one guy in mind, but do you have anybody in mind that the Flyers should be targeting?
I only have one guy. So I am putting this in a type of perspective that I know kind of, I don't want to say contradicts the way that I've kind of spoken on this pod and brotherly pod over there with Dan. I don't believe that we have enough substantial assets to make, or cap room for the immediate or several years down the road kind of a future to make a sexy kind of a move. So to me, I have a so the name I have, it's Jean-Gabriel Pageau. It fits the exact need that I think would really separate this team from a competitive playoff team, maybe a win around, probably don't get through two, to a legitimate team. And he's not a sexy name. But what this team lacks right now is I mean, how long was Giroux quiet this season? People are thinking the guy all of a sudden is just done. Well, he had to play center. At 33 years old, playing up the middle like that is not conducive for him to have the 102-point season that we, again, kind of a strange year at 30 years old to hit 102 points for the first time in your career. But that's not going to be his norm. Allowing Claude Giroux to be on the left side, getting another center depth who fits the mold of a Philadelphia hockey player in terms of 200-foot game. We hear it constantly. The guy is great in his own zone. Really, he's creative enough with the puck. He's got like 37, 38 points in like, I don't know, 55 games, something like that. So he can point produce at what a third center would do.
But that's even better when you consider the fact that he's playing on an offensively challenged Senators team up there.
Absolutely. My whole thing with this is, me personally, as much as I for Nolan Patrick's sake, I hope that he is well enough to rejoin this team. Making this move almost tells you Nolan Patrick is not coming back this season. But you can't make this move and only have him as a rental. Like, to me, you don't acquire this guy, send over what you would send over to not re-sign him. So it's an interesting kind of a thing, because then there's such a trickle effect. So it's weird. I'm intrigued by the player. I'm intrigued by how well that fit kind of satisfies what I'm looking for and what I believe the Flyers would be looking for. But it's a strange thing to sit there and take a look at what happens to Pitlicks, Raffles, Lawtons, Obi Kubels, guys who we've really grown accustomed to here in the bottom six. Do they walk at the end of the year because you make a signing like a Jean-Gabriel Pageau? So it's weird. Who's your name? You got Carter, I assume?
No, as actually, it was between your guy Pageau and Andre Casa of Anaheim.
Anaheim, yeah.
So, and I'm going to go with Casa just because you went with Pageau. Casa, a little bit more cap friendly. I think his AAV comes in at 2.6, which is something that they would, for reference, Pageau comes in at 3.27. Actually, no, excuse me. Pageau comes in at, it doesn't have it here. I thought I had it somewhere. But anyway, Andre Casa comes in at 2.6, which is something that they would be able to fit under the salary cap at the deadline salary cap. And his numbers aren't great this year. I'm looking at it right now. He's got 7 goals, 16 assists, and 23 points in 49 games. But Anaheim, like Ottawa, an offensively depleted team. Casa has missed some time with injury. He had shoulder surgery, I believe it was, in the offseason. But there are numbers out there that show that Anaheim has been a much better team with him on the ice this season than they have been without him. And he's a great two-way player. As I said before, offensively, he's been down a little bit this year, but he's a great defensive forward. The only drawback that I see with Casa is that he's not a center. He's a right winger. And we kind of do need that center, but I think for what you would be paying for him, 2.6, it's very team friendly, and he signed through 2021. I think that they could very realistically have a chance at making that move and bringing in Andre Casa at the deadline.
Yeah, I don't know that I'd be in love with that, only because we've seen guys come up from the AHL level and kind of produce at a similar level. My only agreement to this is I would trust him more in a playoff series. Like, I would find him more postseason ready and playable than Bunneman or not Obi Kubel. He's been their most consistent flyer. We've talked about that before. But he's again, he's exactly the non-sexy name that I would expect the Flyers to be going for right now. Cap-wise, it fits.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I was just saying, cap-wise, you're right. It fits. The right wing thing, he could play left wing too. But I mean, like I said, we have wings right now who are centers who are playing wings. I don't know why all the time. So maybe it pushes one of them back down the middle. I don't know. But it's an interesting name.
Another thing that's interesting about him, or something that would be something that you could put on the positive side here, he's only 24 years old. So his contract expires. He becomes a free agent in 2021. So he has a full season left after this year. Who knows? If he plays well enough, you could probably get him on a team-friendly extension that, as I said, he's only 24 years old. He still has yet to hit the prime of his career. So that's another thing to consider right there.
Isn't he wasn't he undrafted? I feel like
he was a 7th-round pick in 2014.
Okay. So basically undrafted.
Yeah, basically undrafted. Yep.
I don't know that you can even throw in the words prime of his career. I think he's just a role player. And by the same logic, and it's not that I'm totally disagreeing with this, mainly because for cap purposes, this is pretty much what you're going to look at is guys like this. But let me pull this up real quick. So I want to check something. Wow, he's a lot older than I thought. Jesus Christ. So I love Michael Raffl. I've talked about this, I think, on every Flyers podcast I've ever been on. Michael Raffl is, to me, more playable and more versatile and overall consistent than what I would expect of Andre. I don't know. Signing him or trading for him kind of writes the end of a guy like Raffl or a guy not Scotty Lawton. Scotty Lawton's up the middle. But why? We have a guy who fits, but Raffl is 31 years old. So I genuinely thought Mike Raffl was 26, 27. I did not know he was already 31. That's wild.
Yeah, he's one of those guys who kind of came up and joined the team at a later age than most guys do. So, yeah, that age kind of crept up on him. I didn't know he was that old either. I thought he was, 27, 28, something like that.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I was all ready to just sit here and just be yeah, definitely don't need this guy. We have Michael Raffl, Swiss Army knife of all Swiss Army knives. Then I saw Michael Raffl's, in fact, 31 and not 26. I was slightly more intrigued by your name. I'll be honest. You still got that AIDS over there?
Yeah, I'm starting to kick it a little bit. It's starting to go away. It's definitely not as bad as it was over the weekend. I was basically on my deathbed once I got home from the car show on Sunday, and I really should have been on my deathbed while I was at the car show. But I was busy. I was passing it along to everybody down there.
Well, so, you're a good citizen over here.
Yeah, it's good to share.
You're such an ass.
Oh, man. Oh. Anyway, we talked about the Flyers, their need for another center, and they may very well be getting that back in the form of Nolan Patrick, who's been practicing with the team a lot in recent weeks and seems to be ramping things up and gearing towards a return. Still no timetable has been set for him, but first off, do you think that he will end up back in the lineup sooner rather than later? And if he does, how much of an impact do you think Nolan Patrick will have?
Not particularly. I think that, would we want him back? Absolutely. I believed that he was poised for a very strong year this year. He's kind of underwhelmed in the point categories, but you see these flashes of a complete player. And you had this feeling that this could be kind of that year that starts that breakout process. It's not really a breakout season in hockey. It's more of that 3-year window where the guy really figures out who he is as a hockey player. And I think that, or I had pegged him to be entering into that window of time. So to hear that, to come into the season, hear that he's struggling in the ways that he is, and has been, I mean, one, it's upsetting on a human level. But to see his demeanor when discussing in interviews, like you can tell how badly the kid wants to play hockey, how badly he wishes that this was, I mean, obviously health wise, wishes this was something he was never dealing with. I think that it would be an emotional lift for the team if we were struggling, which we are not. So I don't know that there's a giant pressing need at this point. I mean, I know that contradicts my whole, we definitely need another center to keep G on the wing and to add balance and dynamics straight down the middle on all 4 lines. But I don't know that you need it bad enough to rush a guy back who's dealing with what he's dealing with. And I think that the Flyers have done right by him so far, and I think they'll continue to do so. So I would expect that. I mean, it's great that he's been skating with the team and interacting with the guys. He's not a contact player yet in practice. That should be coming soon. You'd expect him to practice for a while, almost assuredly get a stint in the AHL. And personally, I'd be pretty okay if he just finished the season out at the AHL. And if come playoff time, he was able to kind of find his groove and he could slot in as a 4th line center, and add some balance there and play 6 to 8 minutes a night, 10, 12 minutes a night, maybe. Like, all right. Like we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But do I think that he's going to play over the next 22 games? No.
Yeah, and Vigneault actually alluded to the point that he made about him playing at Lehigh Valley. He basically he said with 100% certainty that he will get sent to Lehigh Valley for a rehab stint if he's ready to do that before the season ends. So Vigneault said that, quote unquote, Lehigh Valley means that he's going down there for conditioning to get some games in. And he said once he gets sent to Lehigh Valley. So if he does come back, undoubtedly 100%, he will be having that rehab stint. He won't be coming directly back to the Flyers. And that's not only to get some conditioning, get some games in, but also for the Flyers to see exactly where he is when he's playing competitive hockey, not just out there on the practice rink. And then they'll be able to see that and kind of gauge where he is and see if maybe they could use him for that playoff run if he's at the level that they need him to be at, or if what they have right now is working better than what they think he'll be able to provide.
Yeah, again, I trust Alain Vigneault's usage of his personnel, and I feel like he goes into each game with different expectation of like a kind of like a charted layout of minutes and what ideally he envisions each forwards group getting and each defensive pair getting, and I feel like if he can't say with absolute certainty that within his, maybe it's a 4-minute window where he sits there and he's like, listen, I want my 4th line out there, somewhere in that 10 to 14 minutes. But if I feel as though this line's going to have to go 15 or even 14 and a half minutes, he's not going to want to put Nolan Patrick out there in a harm's way or a way that he believes he's, ill-equipped to handle at this point. And I think that for all the shit that people had on Alain Vigneault and him not wanting to play youth, heading into his Flyers stint, he certainly set that aside. He's been more than willing to play guys, but he's also been more than willing to protect guys. And I think that he would do so in this particular case as well.
Yeah, and another thing that's going to have an effect on this is what the Flyers, as we were just talking about, what they choose to do at the trade deadline. If they go center, say if they bring in Apajo, or if they go after Jumbo Joe out in San Jose, that pretty much spells the end of, to me at least, it spells the end of Nolan Patrick's chances of playing this season. So, but if they choose to go with a winger like Andre Casa, the chances of Patrick playing, maybe in the playoffs, still a chance of it happening. Still, I think, unlikely, but That's another thing that definitely rides on is what they do at the deadline.
I don't know. I do think that if it's one move, there is still that shot that if healthy, at some point, either in that last week or so of the season or in the playoffs, we could see Nolan Patrick and at the center's position, mainly because the bottom six of the Flyers are so versatile. They almost all of them can play at least two of the three positions out there. At least they have like 3 or 4 centermen out there or future centermen. They have their wings are I mean constantly being flipped. So they do have that luxury. So I feel like if you go out there and you acquire a Paggio, that's awesome. It solidifies that immediate need. To me, it's throw him at your third line center, let Nolan Patrick be your fourth line center, and move Scotty Lawton, off that center's position. Like it's just so much you can do. So as long as it's one move and not 2 or 3, I think that there's still going to be that 5% shot that we see Nolan Patrick and we see him back down the middle.
Yeah, I personally, there is the versatility that you mentioned, but like you said, it's only about maybe a 5 or 10% chance that he actually does play. And if he does, I think the only situation that he would really get in is if, say, the last game or 2 of the regular season, they already have their playoff seed locked up and there's no chance to move up or move down in the standings. Then, they might get him out there. They've done that in years past where they have their position locked up and then the last game of the regular season, they throw some AHL guys out there. I remember going to a game against Carolina a few years ago, and fucking Cal Heater was the goalie. Vecchione, I don't know if Vecchione was playing. I know Jason Atkinson was out there, and they actually did end up
4 years back.
Yeah, this is 4 or 5 years ago. Cal Heater was the goalie. It was his only NHL game, and he let in 5 goals on like 10 shots.
Oh, that's good. Jesus Christ.
But he did stop, I believe, 5 out of 6 in a shootout, and they still lost because they didn't score.
That sounds exactly right.
Yeah, that's pretty much the most Flyers game ever. But that was the year that Steve Mason went out in, I think, like the 3rd or 4th to last game of the season because he got run over by Jason Megna, and we ended up having to play Ray Emery the first 3 or 4 games against the Rangers in that series. But
14. Yep. 2014? I think it was 14.
2014, yep.
Okay.
Got to see Cal Heater play. It was not a pleasant experience.
It's actually hilarious.
All right, well, looking forward, the Flyers, obviously with their first half of their home and home with the Columbus Blue Jackets tonight, a big win. They go on the road at Columbus on Thursday, and then after that, 3 consecutive home games against teams that they should be able to beat in Winnipeg, San Jose, and the New York Rangers. They've been so good at home this year. Do they keep it up, or do you see them maybe faltering a little bit down the stretch?
It's weird because I would, like, all logic says like, it's pretty unsustainable to sit there and be 25-4. You said we are at home at this point.
20 wins, 5 regulation losses, and 4 overtime losses. Yes, 25-4.
Right. That's a hell of a pace. But they don't really show any signs of slowing down. And if they're going to get a game like tonight where they don't play their best hockey and things kind of just start bouncing their way, it's a dangerous team. Like, don't let them get hot, man. Don't let them get hot. If they get this momentum and they get some puck bounces in somebody else's arena, they start winning some road games. They start beating some teams that they're supposed to beat. 20 games left in this season, 22 games, whatever the hell we said it was. It's a dangerous ass hockey team. It's a dangerous team. So I'm gonna take a positive spin on this, and I'm gonna say, hell yeah, this team can keep up their home rows so far.
All right, so since you're taking a positive spin, and by the way, I agree with that positive spin, out of all the teams that are currently in the playoff picture, how dangerous are the Flyers? Where would you rank them amongst the Eastern Conference playoff teams right now?
I always believe in Pittsburgh. I fucking hate them, but I find it impossible to bet against them.
You and me
Um,
both.
I don't particularly fear Washington. Um, let me see. Like Boston's absurd. Tampa's. I actually don't fear Tampa at all. I know other people have such hard-ons for this team, but I just
See,
think
I'm the other way around there. I don't fear Boston. I fear Tampa. I do not fear Boston.
I think Boston's legit. Um, but yeah, I would say probably a 4 or 5 in the Eastern Conference in terms of teams to kind of fear. I would say it's for me. It's like I said, Pittsburgh is just that they're just that team, man. They just it doesn't seem to matter what the circumstances are surrounding that organization or team. They just find a way. So Pittsburgh is probably 1, Boston's probably 2. Um, like maybe, I don't. Maybe 3. Like maybe they would be that third team there because I really don't trust Washington, and I absolutely never trust Tampa Bay. So I'm gonna put them at a 3 right now.
3. That's pretty fair. I actually, like I said, I'm good the other way around. I think that Tampa is the number 1 team in the East right now. I know that they've had their struggles in the playoffs, the first round exit, and all that last year after that great regular season that they had. But if you look at it, they're 1 point behind Boston with the same amount of games played. They both played 60 games. But the thing is, Tampa has 40 wins, whereas Boston has 37. Boston has been the beneficiary of 12 pity points from overtime losses. So, and also, I'm looking at it right now, Tampa actually has a slightly better goal differential as well. So, to me, putting those 2 teams together, I take Tampa as being the better team of the 2. So Tampa is 1 for me. I hate to say it, but Pittsburgh is very, very good in the playoffs. They just, Crosby and Malkin, they have a way of turning it up when the games matter. I've got to go Pittsburgh number 2. Personally, I would go. It's tough. It's a toss up between the Flyers and the Capitals for number 3, and then I would go.
You have Boston honestly 4 or 5, I guess that technically.
Well, that's why I was gonna say it's really a toss up actually between those 3 teams, between 3, 4, 5. You could really go any which way. Personally, I would go the Flyers 3, I would go Boston 4, and then Washington 5.
Yeah, I I think that's probably a good way of putting it. I mean, I would flip your Tampa for my Boston. But that 3, 4, 5 in terms of teams to fear in that Eastern Conference. I mean, such a deep conference. It's anybody could fall anywhere at this point. It's fucking wild.
Yeah, it really is. We talked about it in the last show. It's going to take 100 points, most likely, just to snag the last wild card spot. And we're talking about the Flyers being a team that could potentially finish as high as maybe 2 in the Metropolitan, probably closer to the 3 seed or a top wild card spot. But they're just as good as just about everyone in the conference. They've had success against Boston this year. They played some tough games against Tampa. They didn't look very good on Saturday, but Carter Hart, it was typical road Carter Hart, just not having a strong game. They've played well against Toronto. They played well against the Capitals. They've lost 2 out of 3 against the Penguins, but the 1 win was a 3-0 shutout, and the most recent loss, they took them to overtime. So the Flyers,
after a 10-day layoff.
Yeah, they're right up there with the cream of the crop in the Eastern Conference. So that's why I have them at number 3 as the one of the toughest teams to beat in the playoffs this year.
Yeah, it's weird, man. Because again, looking at the standings, 73 points right now with 60 games played. It's pretty terrifying that just 1 point behind us are the 2 wild card teams, each with 1 and 2 games less played than us. And then Columbus, who we obviously beat. has won or has played one more game than us. So that makes me feel slightly better. But I mean, they could be as high as, get hot and grab that too, which I think is unlikely, but they could, or they could find themselves as a 98, 99.9 seed who doesn't make the fucking playoffs. So it's crazy.
Yeah, I don't see that happening. There's a chance that it could happen, but it's just unlikely to me. I think the team that ends up being that 9 seed actually is Columbus. They're starting to fall off right now. I believe tonight was their 6th consecutive loss. They've been able to hang in there because 3 of those losses were in overtime. They got the pity points for it. But really over the past couple weeks, they have not been playing very good hockey. Elvis Merzlikins, I think is how you pronounce his last name, kind of fallen off, kind of leveled off a little bit. They don't have much in the way of offense. They're only a +5 in goal differential. I think that Columbus ends up being that team that kind of, things even out for them. And when it comes down to it, they're not that good of a hockey team. And I think Carolina surpasses them, and I think the Flyers stay ahead of them. And I think the New York Islanders also stay ahead of them. And
honestly,
Columbus
the Islanders are another team that, for whatever reason, Trotz is just so good. He's so smart.
Well, they've matched up well against us this year.
They're just...
That game pissed me off so much the other night.
The 2 goals in the last minute or whatever? 2 goals?
Yeah, coming back from 3-0 down, you rally to tie the game. Couturier, by the way, gets cross-checked when he scores that tying goal. Doesn't get called. Islanders, 30 seconds later, game winner with less than a minute to go. Just a nightmare of a game. A hell of a comeback. It was great to see the amount of heart that the Flyers displayed on the second half of the back-to-back, able to tie that game up, then to not even get a point out of it because you give up a goal with 30 seconds to go. It's just, that was a heartbreaking loss, and it was one that it clearly it stuck with them because they came out and they played pretty damn good after that. But, yeah, tough game.
Yeah, that was very Hackstolian. That pretty much mirrored that slow first, really an ugly first all around. And then, I don't want to say they dominated from that point on for, 36 of the 40 remaining minutes, but they were pretty close to dominating, and then, like I said, as was not the case tonight, they were not the benefit of some calls and some bounces in the final 90 seconds of that one.
You see, the reason, though, even though the Islanders have won all 3 matchups of the Flyers this year, the reason why I put the Flyers ahead of the Islanders is because really since the beginning of the season, when the Islanders got off to that red-hot start and whatever, the first 25, 30 games where they were atop the Metropolitan Division, they've been a pretty average team since then. Their goal differential is only +8, which is worse than the Flyers. The Flyers, I believe they were +16 going into tonight, so they're +20 right now. Everything's kind of evened out in New York as well. The goaltending has not been as good. They haven't been scoring as many goals. A great start is the reason why they are where they are right now in the top 3, but I think when it comes down to it, at the end of the season, the Flyers are going to be a better team than the Islanders are.
I hope you're right. My fear may be, Flyer specific. Like maybe I don't fear that team for other potential opponents, come playoff time. But if the Flyers, match up with them in any of these series, I would be more concerned about that than I would be with the fucking Lightning.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Lightning just they're too good. They've got so much scoring depth. I don't like that matchup at all. That's the one matchup that I 100% do not like for the Flyers. Any other matchup, I give them almost a 50-50 chance of winning. That Lightning matchup, though, I don't like it. Tampa's another team that's really had the Flyers number over the past few years. Even though they're not really a defensive-minded team, they seem to kind of buckle down when the Flyers play against them. You can attribute a lot of that to the fact that Hackstall was behind the bench for all those years, but even this year, the first game, a 1-0 loss. a game that was very winnable. Goaltending and defense kept the Flyers in it, but they just couldn't score. And then they go down to Tampa and they give up a lot of goals early on. They can't catch up.
That's not true. We came back from 2 separate 5-goal deficits against that goddamn team last year. Won one of them in overtime. Then Couturier had one of his overtime clunkers, turnover in his own zone in the other game.
They really come back
twice.
No shit.
Yep,
I don't
5
know,
goals.
Maybe I was drunk.
That's what I said. I don't fear that team for fucking anything. I think they are so fraudulent.
All right. Well, you and I will be on opposite ends of the spectrum.
Watch us get matched up on them, and we get swept, and then I got to sit here and tell you how much you were right whilst crying.
Well, unless we fall into one of the wild card spots, then it wouldn't be until the conference finals, I believe.
I'm for it. Let's get to the conference finals. Let's have some fun.
I know, right? We can get revenge for 2004 at long last.
Oh, that was ugly.
Oh, man. Anything else that you want to throw in here before we wrap this one up?
I definitely had something 5 seconds ago. So start talking once you're done dying. And then I'm going to remember what the hell it was.
Well, I got something. It's called AIDS.
I feel like this has been like a backyard beers and football joke that's just carried over to other podcasts. From
if I don't know if it was the first episode of DOE under the rebranding, or if it was one of the last episodes under the Always Next to Your Podcast thing, where I was basically dying and couldn't even make it through the show. So this is not a first-time occurrence, and it won't be a last-time occurrence either.
Oh, I remember what it was. My final thought was I need everyone to respect Jake Voracek. Like, just can everyone just admit that, sure, your $8.25 million that he's getting paid, it's an eye-popping number, but he's in line, point production total, with everyone that he gets paid with. He has consistently been up there throughout a lot of the stretches of this season as a guy that you could kind of lean on for some energy. Can we get off his ass?
I'm with it. You can lean on for some energy. You can lean on for some great tweets as well, especially when the fans are pissing him off, telling him to shoot all the time, and he's kind of fed up with it. No, but yeah, Voracek has been quietly a very productive guy offensively for this season. He's one of the top scorers, leads the team in assists. Pretty much throughout his tenure here in Philadelphia, he's been underappreciated.
Thank you.
Yeah, he's been consistent. He doesn't score a ton of goals. You can count on him for high teens to low 20s, but the assist totals are always going to be up there. He's a great playmaker. Always does a great job of setting up his teammates no matter which line he's on. And as I alluded to before, he played years under Dave Haxtell, and he still was able to put up some numbers. So anybody who plays under Haxtell and can put up numbers, you got to have respect for him.
I agree. I just swallowed water down the wrong pipe. I didn't get sick.
Welcome to the coughing fit.
Yeah, that hurt. But yeah, it was the Voracek thing I had as a final thought. Another final thought I had was Brizgalov is a jackass. I don't know if you saw his interview stuff, but essentially saying that like the Flyers didn't have a true captain when he was here, and that like they just award talented players as captains, but they're not real leaders, and that Claude Giroux's not a real leader, and that feeds into everyone's bullshit if he's not a good captain and all this other shit. And I'm so tired of hearing it from everyone, and Brizgalov just resurfaced it again right in the middle of one of the 2 best seasons we've had in a fucking decade. I'm like, just shut the hell up. Go find a bear.
Yeah, that was really random of him. I don't know what prompted him being interviewed. I actually didn't even hear about that until you just mentioned it. But, like, what the fuck?
I was just so angry.
What the fuck?
Like I
I mean,
started
why?
seeing Brizgalov trending on Twitter again, and I was like, "What the fuck is going on?" So
Like, I thought we got rid of this guy, and he was a distant memory years ago. I mean, I know that I think it was last season or the season before he did randomly pop up at a Flyers game. He was just sitting amongst the crowd like a regular attendee. He was there with his son. I think he was like sitting in the upper deck or something like that, which is very Ilya Brizgalov of him to do. Yeah, but no, that tenure with him in net was an absolute nightmare. Clearly, he couldn't adjust to, I guess, the change between playing in Phoenix and playing here in Philadelphia. And I think he was more the problem than anybody else on the team. But I don't think he's one to be blaming, Giroux's captaincy. I've been on
it all
record.
stemmed from the Jake Voracek thing, because Voracek had said that he was in his interview stuff that for whatever show he was on. Yeah, it was like at a certain point we're all like, Briz, just shut the fuck up and stop the puck. And Brizgalov was like,
Oh, man.
no one ever had problem with me. I never had problem. No one said problem. Claude Giroux, no, never said problem. Jake Voracek, no problem. It's like, just come up and tell me. Like, the fuck, man?
That's such a lie, because we all know about the problems that he had with the Philadelphia media here. Yeah, that's funny as shit that Jake called him out on it.
Yeah, it was hilarious. But yeah, so he was responding. That was why Brizgalov, I forgot. That was why Brizgalov was getting his comments in, because Jake said, just stop the fucking puck. Just shut up and stop the puck, which is pretty much all Flyers fans have been saying to all of our goaltenders for, I don't know, 3 decades.
Yeah, it sounds about right. And anything that Brizgalov says should be taken with a few extra grains of salt, because he's kind of a mentally unstable human being. I remember a few times after giving up goals, just turning around and fucking wailing his stick at the glass. I know he did it against the Penguins in the playoffs. I know he did it, and he almost fucking decapitated a ref when he was playing for Phoenix. I don't know. Did you ever see the video of that?
I didn't, but I'm absolutely going to YouTube.
Oh my god,
that
you got to
after
look
we're
it
off.
up. It's on YouTube. All right, so it's kind of a fluky goal that this is when he was playing for the Coyotes. It's kind of a fluky goal. It's a breakdown defensively. Not much that he really could have done there. I think it was pretty much the defenseman's fault that the goal was scored. But Briz was so fucking pissed off after the puck goes in. You see him like maybe 5 seconds later on the replay just turn around, absolutely wail his stick at the boards behind the net. And there's a referee skating around behind the net at that very moment. And this literally comes maybe a foot from just taking the guy's fucking head off.
That's amazing. So I found what I assumed to be that video. So I'm going to watch that when we get off air here. But I do have a sub story to that. When I was 17, I want to say, and I must have like just turned 18. I was at my longtime job. I was like every other 18-year-old kid who was like, I got hired and then like got basically immediately promoted into management. But the paperwork was taking like a month and a half, which is fucking absurd. When you're 18, you don't understand what background checks are or anything like that. So you just assumed that you were going to come into work in a suit one day and it was all going to be done. That was not the case. And my then boss, a guy named, he was just a total douchebag. I found out that he was going to pay me like a fucking nickel an hour less than what I actually signed for. And he was just so condescending, such a prick. I had like, and then said that I was going to have to wait another couple months. Not that any of like this part of the story like matters too much, but we had like little brooms that we would have to sweep shit with every once in a while. And I had one of those and I walked out and I was so angry in that little meeting that I was having, as I was being told that I was going to get paid less than the paperwork that I assigned for a position that I'm not even going to get to work in for X amount of time. My hands were all sweaty. I'm just gripping the shit out of this fucking little broom. I leave that office, got a lobby full of a couple hundred people. I swing it like a baseball bat. My hands were too sweaty. Hit a woman directly in the back.
God damn.
8 years later, this woman, now I awkwardly go over to her, as now I'm sitting here thinking, Jesus Christ, not only am I not going to get that nickel and paid what I'm supposed to get paid an hour, I'm going to get fucking terminated before I get to put on a suit and go to work every single day. So I went over and awkwardly I was like, listen, I don't know what happened. I was very angry at a boss. I swung this like a bat, and it hit you, obviously. Would you like a little massage? Like I could just work that out. I'm really sorry that this just happened. And she laughed about it. She was a good chick. 8 years later, came back, and she saw me in my eventually promoted position that I had held for some time there. And she goes, yeah, the last time I saw you, you were throwing brooms at the back of people's heads. And I'm like, oh, fuck me. You remember that. So, yeah, Ilya Brizgalov, those things, they're not forgotten. And yours lives on YouTube, and I'm about to fucking watch it.
I actually just watched it as you were talking. I was listening to you, but I was watching it. Oh my god, man! It wasn't even closer than I thought it was. But yeah, it's a crazy story about you throwing things at people. I didn't know you had that in you.
Because I'm such a calm individual.
Oh man, I don't know if I'd call you calm, but I didn't know you had that in you though.
Yeah, I'm always so even keeled with everything, and it makes people very uncomfortable because when I should be irately angry, I'm very controlled, and that makes the other people really angry, and I find a sense of amusement in that, so I stay even more calm, and they hit like that 11, 12, 13 on a scale of 10. They get so fucking angry, but that day, I wanted to murder that human. I fucking hate that man. Still do. I hate everyone over there. But that guy in particular is a piece of shit. And yeah, I just remember like it was one of the few times something got that drastically under my skin where I was like, just fucking swung out of frustration. Hands got too sweaty. Broom, nailed a chicken back. Man.
I wish I was there to see that. But now that we're on this topic, why don't we go to our Rage Room moment of the week? You got anything for us?
Rage Room of the week. I am gonna say one of the things that I hate most about not always being 100% in control of your own circumstance. So everyone knows I'm back in school again. I'm going for a separate degree, something that I'm actually passionate about, and that's great. But you got to take some classes that you don't necessarily want to take. And I, for the most part, with how much I work, I have to take a lot of my courses online. And I find that works better because if I'm in a classroom for 3 to 5 hours a week, I feel like, well, I've committed 3 to 5 hours a week. I don't need to do anything at home. It's like, and this is on me. I'm lazy. I just assume, I don't need to do that. No, I struggle in the course. And like, I might have to work my ass off at the end of the semester to get the A that I'll eventually get. But if I take a class online that I would probably struggle in, I know 100% that I will get an A in that course because I have to commit time. I have to commit all that energy to that. I explained this to an advisor who believes that he has his best interest or my best interest in heart or at heart. There we go. Words, sentences. In all of our time knowing each other in the 37 seconds that I spent in his office when finalizing a schedule, he said, I really feel like this is in your best interest to tackle this course. And I said, in all our time knowing each other? You think that? I mistakenly said, okay. I had our first exam last night, and I'm pretty sure that I just failed my first ever college test or test ever in my life at that point because I was totally fucking lazy. And all I want to do right now is once this grade gets submitted to me is send an email to my advisor and be like, listen, motherfucker, the next time I tell you I know what I need to do, you need to fucking let me.
Oh, man. So wait, you're telling me that you've never failed a test before?
No, never.
I mean, you're a smart guy and all, but I have a hard time believing that because I don't know. I'm a smart guy too, and I've failed like just about every other test that I took in high school.
Quizzes and like small stuff like that. Like I've occasionally, like if you don't read a chapter, if you don't do something, if you don't whatever, it's like impossible. You get like a 10-question quiz, and you're like, well, fuck it, I'll just guess. But a test, no. I've had a 4.0 my entire life, so.
Oh, look at you fucking nerd. the words of Travis
hit me with a
you
TK.
Fucking nerd. Oh, man. I had to.
Well done.
All right. Well, my Rage Room moment of the week was driving home from the basketball game I was covering tonight, I stopped at Wawa first. I had my Wawa milkshake or smoothie, whatever it was, in the car, and I was, trying to get home and catch as much of the Flyers game as I could. And of course, on 202 through the Buckingham, whatever Jamison area, where 202 is 50 miles an hour, I get stuck behind the person who's doing 40. And I honk at them not once, but twice. Long, loud blows of the horn. They don't do anything. They just keep going 40 miles an hour. Like, God damn it. And then finally they turned and I just took off. But it pisses me off so much because that stretch of road, it's 50 miles an hour. And I always, every single time, get stuck behind somebody who's going 40. It's like they don't know what the fucking speed limit is there.
I feel like we need to ban the traffic thing from a rage room because I feel like you have undoubtedly the worst luck of any, and I've been in the car with you and I've witnessed the shit that you have to drive behind. I swear to God, I always thought I've had bad luck with the people that I get behind. Nothing compares to what you go through, and it's every single day thing. And now your job is literally on the road. I don't know, man. Sometimes I don't understand how you haven't purposely vehicular homicide, gotten out the car and just decided to beat someone with anything.
Oh, man. You know what? It doesn't bother me when I'm working because I'm on the clock. I'm getting paid. But
sure, yes.
But yeah, when I'm not on the clock, when I'm legitimately trying to get home or get to my location, wherever it is, I don't like being slowed down by people that are going below the speed limit. I don't like having people cut me off when they're not using turn signals. It just happens all the time. People suck at driving, and I feel like the only solution to this is to have a much more thorough vetting process and have re-examinations for driver's licenses. Stop fucking handing them out like they're candy on Halloween night. Just I'm serious. Like people should have much more strict testing that they have to go through, that they have to pass to get their license, and should be retested, I would say, every 3 years.
Jesus.
Yep. That's how bad it is.
That's aggressive.
It is aggressive, but sometimes you got to be aggressive.
God.
Oh, man. Real quick before we wrap this up, I just want to touch on this. What's your take on the whole Biz Nasty versus Carcillo thing that's going on right now?
I'm just entertained by it. To me, it's one of those just get your popcorn ready type of things. I think it's fucking amazing.
Yeah, it really is. Two guys who didn't do anything in the NHL other than fight, and
That's why it's amazing.
One of them's turned into a complete fucking pussy, which is Carcillo, and the other one's holding true to his guns, which is Biz Nasty. And yeah, it's a fun thing to listen to, and I just can't wait for the next episode of Paul Bissonnette's podcast to come out so that we can hear at least his point of view. And would be fucking awesome if he had Carcillo on. They could just hash things out on that podcast there.
Oh my God, that would be absolute gold. That would be podcast gold.
Yeah, well, speaking of podcast gold, the Disciples of Ed is podcast gold. And that's why you should continue listening to us. You can find us on Twitter at Disciples of Ed. You can find my personal at radio_Rob. Shane, where can we find you?
My personal is at Shane_Mead. I'm also part of the TJ's One of Us pod, which is at TJ is One of Us. I'm part of Brotherly Pod now, another hockey pod, which is I think it's just at Brotherly Pod. I am Crossing Borders. I don't know if it has a Twitter, so just follow Connor, who's the host of that show. He's over at Unwrap Sports now. He is at Connor10. Rob, am I on any of the shows that I'm fucking forgetting about right now? Whiskey Ramble, holy shit.
The podcast to be named later.
Yeah, we don't have a Twitter for that, so
that's right.
Fucking listen to it anyway. It's a great show. That's our. We're eventually gonna have to give that a name, by the way, Rob, because I don't know if you know this, but we were not the first people to think of PTBNL.
Yeah, I actually noticed that when I searched on Spotify for it the other day.
There's like 45 of them. I was like, fuck me. So not as cute as I thought it was.
Not as original.
Right? But Whiskey
Yeah.
Ramble with Baby Steve, our other counterpart here, his is at Schmitty324, and then the Whiskey Ramble is at Whiskey Ramble PC. I know I just threw a lot of hashtags out there, and you know what's amazing? By the time that you guys listen to this, I will have not had a single fucking tweet on any of them.
Oh my god. Yeah, you've got to get with that, man.
Dude,
also,
shot up real quick, and then I realized how much I fucking hate social media, and I went back to living an actual real life.
oh god, we all hate social media. I hate social media, but with what we do, we've got to make it work. And we're also going to have our upcoming Philly podcast, which is yet to be named. We'll have a social media handle for that as well. So really,
that one I'll actually use.
Yeah,
that's going to be fun.
we'll
like that, we're going to have like we'll have pictures up, we'll have videos up, we'll have like it's going to be that one's going to be a good time. I'm still
really looking forward to getting started with that. And also, you can find the Always Next Year podcast network, which is the network that contains all these podcasts that we're on. That is at ANY Podcasts on Twitter. And also, you can find the Disciples of Ed on iTunes, on Spotify, Spreaker, SoundCloud. I think I'm missing like 3 more, but wherever
Google
you can
Play, iHeartRadio,
Apple
Stitcher
Podcasts.
Radio, Apple Podcasts. Fuck.
Lots of places where you can listen to the Disciples of Ed podcast.
Yeah, everything. Deezer. Yeah, I don't know. All the things.
If you do it on iTunes or on Apple Podcasts, please subscribe. Please leave us a review. Please leave us a rating. We use that stuff. We use the criticism and whatever it is that you have to offer to us to build our podcast and make ourselves better in the future. So anything that you guys have to say, greatly appreciated.
And drop in takes.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That's another big thing. In fact, I forgot to get to it in this show, but we already have had some takes that I've received via Twitter. We'll get around to them next time around.
Sweet.
But certainly do appreciate that. Shane, you got anything you want to add before we close this one out?
Everybody should absolutely go to Just Food. I don't know if this is what you were throwing at me, but I'm taking it. It's 215-794-FOOD, 215-794-3663. Treat yourself. Take it home. Visit our guy over there, Asian Rob, for your carry-out meals, for your catering needs, for your wedding needs. If you need wedding catering and bartending and you would like me to bartend your wedding, ask for Just Food. It's Just Food, 215-794-FOOD, 215-794-3663. They are located in Buckingham Shopping Center in Buckingham, PA. They also have one in the Delval Market in New Britain, PA at Delval College.
All right, well, that will do it for this episode of the Disciples of Ed. We thank you for listening to us, and stay tuned for our next show.
A fighting man I used to be, revered and feared through Killarney. Now I'm back to hitching with the wind. But if Mickey Flynn should ever find me, I'll throw me caution all behind me and square off on that son of a bitch again. He cracked open a river too, he beat me Sunday through and through, and such jig over my unconscious frame. I won me healthy sheriff fights, well lucky son still have me life since Mickey Flynn beat me dumb and lame.